The focus of today's hearing is to examine ways to get more SNAP participants on the ladder of opportunity and on their way to achieving the American dream, which is through the dignity of work. I strongly believe that the best way to do this is through employment. We must preserve benefits for those truly in need, but also ensure that SNAP guides participants to independence and self-sufficiency. If we can get folks that first job, they will be on the ladder of opportunity and will continue to climb the rungs and increase their earnings.
We're here to talk about work, so let's talk about it. Where were Republicans? We wanted to extend the child tax cuts so families could go back to work, where parents could work knowing that their kids were taken care of. Where were Republicans? We wanted to raise the minimum wage in our country so folks don't have to worry about whether they can pay the rent or feed their kids. Where were Republicans when Elon Musk fired the people making sure that our food is safe to eat, our veterans receive health care, and our kids get the support they need at school? Where were Republicans when the president started a global trade war that increases costs for working families and frankly threatens to put our family farmers out of business? Where are the so-called pro-worker Republicans that I heard so much about during the last election cycle? Silent.
There is dignity in work, and it provides more than just a paycheck. Americans thrive when every family has the opportunity to work, earn, and succeed independently from the government. Unemployment remains at a record low. There are 7.6 million jobs open across the country, and companies are announcing major investments in the United States. Put simply, we need more able-bodied Americans engaged in work. It's a win-win for the country and for American families. However, we know that 3/4 of non-disabled adults, that's adults without disability, aged 18 to 54, who are without dependents or fall into that acronym, it's an unfortunate acronym, I think, but ABODs, who are receiving SNAP are not working. These are folks who are capable of work and they're not taking care of anyone under the age of 18 or an aging parent or a relative. This percentage is largely unchanged from 2019, despite a 67% increase in spending on the SNAP program. Clearly, there is a need to strengthen the connection between receiving SNAP and securing employment. Now, we can examine the relationship between SNAP and employment by taking a closer look at two key components of the program: work requirements and SNAP employment and career and technical education programs. Work requirements are an important tool for encouraging work among low-income households. Now, I've long been an advocate of the SNAP program and the helpful hand it provides for our neighbors in need. But I hope we can all agree on our responsibility as members of this committee that we take every action possible to enable more people to move into long-term employment while meeting their nutritional needs. The safety net has become a spider's web, and too many of our most vulnerable Americans are trapped. I refuse to believe that they are all destined to live lives of government dependency. Let's come together, not to talk about all the obstacles that may be in their way, but to instill hope that together we can move these folks forward. And with that, I now like to welcome the distinguished ranking member, the gentlewoman from Minnesota, Ms. Craig, for any opening remarks that she would like to give.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. This hearing certainly is coming at an important moment for the American people. The committee has been asked to pass, and all of my Republican colleagues have voted for, a House bill that would seek to cut up to $230 billion in funding from our jurisdiction to help pay for tax breaks for the president's billionaire buddies like Elon Musk. So I'm incredibly glad we're here to talk about the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, the likely target for those cuts. Before we do that, though, let's review the past 78 days. The Trump administration and Elon Musk have steamrolled this Congress. firing critical staff and slashing funding and programs that many of you voted for and support. They've started a global trade war that has put farmers in the crosshairs of retaliatory tariffs and are actively decimating the retirement accounts across our nation while raising costs for every single one of us. They have willfully ignored USDA contracts with the farm community. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of food has been taken away from food banks and school cafeterias, all from programs that this body put in place. I really do like most of you on this committee, especially you, Mr. Chairman. I really do. I ran for office because I want to work across the aisle, and I'd like to do that as ranking member. But not one of you sitting on this dais would sit silent if a Democratic administration was steamrolling the United States Congress. Not one of you. Instead of using this committee to pass a 5-year bipartisan farm bill that provides certainty and stability for family farmers and the food supply chain, you voted for a bill that instructs this committee to cut a critical farm bill program by at least $230 billion to pay for tax cuts that predominantly go to billionaires and large corporations. If making families hungrier so the rich can get richer weren't bad enough, cutting SNAP also cuts farm income for America's family farmers. This cut would slash farm revenue by approximately $30 billion, on top of the markets they're losing because of the dumbest trade war in American history. You know who can't afford to sit silently by? Farmers. Farmers wake up every day and bust their butts to feed, clothe, and fuel our country every day. And the thanks they get are canceled USDA contracts and a SNAP cut that costs them $30 billion in farm income and jeopardizes a 5-year farm bill. So today, let's talk about work. Let's talk about the millions of hardworking Americans that depend on SNAP, despite having multiple jobs because they aren't paid enough. Let's talk about the over 200,000 people that could be out of a job if these cuts to SNAP succeed, because this program is a job creator. Because when you spend $1 on food, you aren't just paying for the food in your cart. You're paying the wages of the clerk who checked you out at the grocery store, the trucker who delivered the food to the store, and the manufacturer who made the food's packaging. Every $1 invested in SNAP generates $1.50 in economic activity. And cutting SNAP cuts jobs through the entire supply chain. You cannot support workers while decimating SNAP. And let's just be crystal clear about what we're talking about here. $2 per meal, over $6 a day, just over $6 a day. That's the average SNAP benefit for an American in need. Cutting this program will increase food costs by about $2,100 for a typical SNAP household of 4. And this is before you add in the $4,000 per year that Trump's tariffs will cost the average American. This committee truly has a choice before it. Do we want to make American families hungrier and farmers poorer so that a handful of billionaires can get richer? Or do we want to pass a bipartisan 5-year farm bill? Finally, I want to thank our witnesses for being here today. It certainly isn't the witness in front of us, but I must admit that choosing a witness from AEI, a think tank that is called for abolishing crop insurance in our country, to testify here today is an interesting choice. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.